want to welcome everybody to the Wild Wild West. When I roll into the Wild Wild West. When I bounce into the Wild Wild West. But for real though, welcome everybody to My Mama Done Told Me. The Wild Wild West. In the Wild Wild West.
So dumb.
If you're new to our show, we are a show where me, the brother, and a sister, the Lauren, we sit and we talk to our mother, the mom, and we talk about whatever we feel like talking about. Today, what do you want to Taco Bell?
What do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about?
What do you want to Taco Bell, Mom?
No,
Mom,
this is
hi,
your...
Mom.
Yes.
Welcome to another episode.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here. Glad to be alive.
Yeah, I'm glad you're alive too.
Yeah.
We got started about 27 minutes late, so that's interesting.
Well, that's not unusual, to be honest.
Well,
No,
not the last 3 weeks, but
we just don't know how to use technology. That's okay.
Yeah, that's right.
We know how. It's just
we're a little bit weak on that side. I am.
No, you're doing just fine.
You're doing great.
Doing great, Ma. You're doing great.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, really great.
Okay, so Lauren, why don't you tell us what our topic of conversation is today?
The topic today is who is the most important? No. Cut that out. Cut that part out. Okay.
Nope.
I'm not prepared.
Hey! I said it. I looked. I'm even reading it.
Yeah.
And I still said it wrong. Who's the most interesting person you've ever met? This is a tough one. I know.
I
don't know.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife upstairs before this going, so we're supposed to talk about the most interesting person we've ever met. And it's going to be really hard for me to talk about myself for so long.
Oh my gosh.
That is not at all what I said to her. I said, I don't know for her, I don't with the shabbity shoe.
The shabbity shoe. Why is it always the shabbity shoe?
I don't know.
I don't
it's
either.
A fun one to say. Okay, so interesting person.
Interesting people. That's what we're talking about.
Right. So if we have to think about what or who, I should say, is a person that you've come in contact with that for some reason just makes you go, wow, that was intriguing, or that was interesting, or that was, like, obviously we have the most important people. You could pretty easily go to like your spouse or something like that, because you go, okay, well, something obviously interested me enough to want to spend the rest of my life with somebody,
right, yeah.
or whatever. But I don't know. That's not really what I think we're looking for in this episode, which is okay if we want to say that, but I don't think that's really the hope
that's the
here.
Flavor we're looking for.
Mom, you wanna start on this one?
I have never really met anybody all that interesting. I don't know what that means.
Really? What do you mean? Yes, you really have.
The most
That's for you to answer.
I've had to think about it really hard and long. And I thought, so I thought of 3 people.
Okay.
And the first one is a person that I met, but I don't know
That's
as a
fine.
friend or, but I met them. And that would be Jackson Galaxy, who is
the cat daddy himself.
From Hell guy, the cat daddy guy. I met him. He's cool. He is so interesting.
I agree.
Interesting looking.
He's got the interesting beard.
Awesome.
Yeah. I just don't like that he's called
bald.
Cat Daddy.
That's my favorite part.
Ugh.
Oh, I know. He's awesome. And I have a picture with him, me and him together. So
and it looks like Jamie Lee Curtis met the Cat Daddy.
Yeah, it's true.
That picture, you look so much like Jamie Lee Curtis. It's insane.
Yeah. I think that was very cool. He's very cool. And he's very interesting.
Do you think his real last name is Galaxy?
No.
Probably not.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know. And I don't
And do you
care.
think his name is actually spelled with an X?
Daddy.
Cat Daddy. He is
Daddy.
cool. Okay, so he's sort of a
He's an
celebrity.
interesting guy.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
interesting. He's a celebrity, but I don't really know him.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But then I worked with a man named James Severa, who, God rest his soul, is gone now. But he was a
R.I.P. in
psychologist that
peace.
was super interesting. Grew up with as a child of a single mom who was schizophrenic, and she was crazier than a hoodoo. I mean, just really crazy. And he overcame
Never heard
that
that
and became
before.
a very successful psychiatrist, a mega businessman in the city of Omaha. He owned probably more real estate than any one person in that city owned. He was a millionaire, started out as he's the same age as I am. So he started in 1982, because Lauren, you were just a baby, with a private practice out of med school, being a psychiatrist, getting his degree for psychiatry. Started a business then, and he hired me to be his office manager, and he blew that into a huge psychiatric business in Omaha that was just amazing. He was really quirky. I mean, he was frumpy. He was the first guy I knew who had a mobile phone, and was about 5 pounds, and hung off his belt and about pulled his pants down as he walked. And he would wear the same clothes every day. Every day he had the same shirt, same pants, brown corduroy pants.
Didn't it start to stink after a while?
Well, you'd think so, right? You'd think so. Until he had a party at his mansion in old Omaha, over there on Dewey Street, on 38th and Dewey. He had a mansion that he bought. He's single. And we went there, and as he's showing us around, we noticed in his bedroom, he's got this huge box from Sears and Roebuck, whatever, and it's full of new pairs of brown corduroy pants. So I think he just threw them away when they got dirty and got a new pair.
Oh, that's funny.
Ernest P. Worrell.
He always wore a clip-on tie. He always dressed in a tie. Yeah, because he was afraid he'd get choked from one of his.
It's a real thing.
So it had to be. It would be something that would pull off. But he was a very interesting man. Very, very interesting man. But yeah,
that's
so he might be. Yeah, and then my third one.
Yeah.
Is sitting right next to you, Jeff. She slays. Go look at her desk at work.
I've been looking at her for my whole life, and interesting is a interesting way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a very interesting person. She brightens my day just in her interesting little quirky ways. I love that. We actually talked today, and she was talking about her.
How interesting!
Tell him what you did. You took your stupid mannequin head home and washed your hair.
Well, Yolanda's hair.
Yolanda.
So we moved.
Yolanda is her mannequin head.
Right. Yeah. One of them. So the other two, James and Eleanor, both have hats. So the dust didn't get in their hair.
Naturally, yeah.
But Yolanda's hair,
needed a washing.
Oh my gosh, it smelled like dust. It was disgusting. Ugh. So I had to take her home and wash her hair. And then I took her back to the office, and the elevator.
These are in your office.
Yes.
yes.
And the elevator ride was quite interesting because one lady is someone I kind of know.
So she knows
from the office. Yeah. So she kind of knows a little bit. The other lady didn't even work with us.
She's going.
And I'm like, sorry.
Don't mind Yolanda. What about you, Lauren? Interesting person you've ever met?
I struggled with this question too. And I came up with one.
Okay.
And I don't know this person. It's somebody that I just met, and I didn't even have I was so tongue-tied, I didn't even know what to say.
Can I guess?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I know who it is. I bet I know.
I might have to cut out some dead air here
Okay.
because I want to think.
Mm-hmm. It's the only time I've ever not been able to speak. Didn't know what to say to her.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
I know who it is for sure.
Did you meet Gaga?
No, I did not.
Oh my
But that
gosh.
would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, it was yeah, it's the one and only Margaret Atwood.
Oh, okay.
She is probably one of the quirkiest people you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
I met her at the Omaha Public Library. She had like a book reading
signing,
and
okay.
yeah, all of that. So, and I met her. It was very quick. It was like, you know.
Tell our listeners and me who Margaret Atwood is.
So Margaret Atwood is an author. She wrote most famously The Handmaid's Tale.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, you know, her imagination is out of this world.
Yeah.
And that's just like the very, very tip of the enormous iceberg that is her imagination is just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, dystopian future aside,
Yeah.
she's just... I remember seeing some... well, first of all, there's a documentary about her, and if you haven't watched it, you should definitely watch it. I can't remember what it's called, but it is by far... it's just heartwarming and great, and she's just amazing. It's so good. I think it was on Hulu or I don't know, something. But I remember watching that documentary, but I also remember seeing she does like a master class that I have wanted to take for so long, and I never have, but I eventually want to. But like she just has a way of telling stories that are kind of backwards. And I remember watching it and thinking, gosh, she's just so, she thinks about things so differently than everybody else.
You can't teach that.
Right. Well, and she was like, you know, storytelling is blah, blah, blah. And she started talking and she's like, so we're going to start this story. It's Little Red Riding Hood. And she goes, it was dark inside the wolf. And I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
I want to read that story.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
give me the rest.
Starting somewhere else.
Right.
And, working your way back. Yeah.
She's an inspiration, and she's got so much going on in her head. And she, you know, if you watch the documentary, she's just like, she was so in love with her husband, and he unfortunately passed. And I think he may have had dementia or something. I can't really remember the whole story, but my gosh, she's just endured a lot and has been writing because I think she wrote Handmaid's Tale in like 1982 or something like that. And it's just like,
Yeah.
she's the coolest old lady.
Yeah.
Like, she just is. She's just one of the hippest, coolest old ladies I've ever met.
Besides mom.
Besides mom. Mom's pretty interesting.
Mom's pretty cool and mom's pretty old.
Oh, come on.
You know, you said coolest old lady. I want to be a cool old lady.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was thinking about interesting people, I had the same, dilemma. Yeah, where I'm going, okay, so what's interesting? what do I consider to be, is it, there's interesting in good ways, there's interesting in bad ways, so I start thinking about people who I think are, I don't know, like just, so I've got friends, so we think about my friend Ryan, he's one of the weirdest
Definitely.
people in the world.
He's definitely an interesting
And he's
guy.
an interesting person. And, but I didn't really want to go that route,
Right.
And so Nikki, my wife, actually helped me think of this one person that it's just, to me, when you think of an interesting person coming into your life for the amount of time that they did and just kind of having an impact in a really short amount of time, but and not necessarily being a big part of your life, but you just kind of go, I like that person. They're really cool when they're around, and then they just kind of go about their way. So when I used to live in my apartment, I had a little.
Oh,
So
I know who you're going to say.
Thanks for interrupting. I appreciate that.
I know who you're going to say.
Okay. But nobody else does. Jeez. Okay.
But they will.
I can feel the like veins in my neck. Go ahead. You go ahead. You tell my story.
No, I'm not going to tell your story, but I thought this little grouping thing that we do is for us.
Well, it is.
Okay. No.
Okay, keep talking, Jeff.
When I lived in my old, oh my God.
I can't handle it.
I love you, honey.
I love you too. I'm going to mute your microphone though.
That couldn't have been more perfect.
Oh.
Okay, let's let Jeff tell his story.
Jeez.
All right.
When I was living in my apartment, I had so I do for a hobby. I don't do it much anymore, but I used to do leatherworking. And I had a little leatherworking studio in my garage. There was like a standalone little garage. And during the nicer seasons, I could sit out there. I had like a little workbench and but there was always people that were walking around. They were walking their dogs or they were taking walks or walking to and from their buildings and whatnot. And you could see right into my garage because I left it wide open. And I had a little mirror like on the end of the garage so I could see behind me if someone walked in because it kind of weirded me out. But I would work in there and obviously it drew some attention. People would walk by. There's not a lot of people using their garages in that way. You know, I had hung up lights and everything in there. And there was this guy who was walking this beautiful, was a golden retriever, I think. Yeah. But anyway, his name was Keith and he just kind of came over and the dog was super friendly, but very like loyal to him. Right. So he walked up and he just kind of started asking me what he was doing. He wasn't like inserting himself, you know, where he didn't belong. He was just being curious and I was petting his dog. And it turns out this guy was a military vet, such as myself, but he flew helicopters. And he just had a way about him that he would tell stories about his time, about his adventures. He, you know, so his dog was a service dog and the most well-behaved dog that you'd ever met. And he would just walk by and it became a thing where I almost felt disappointed if I went walking out there and I didn't see him and Izzy come walking by. And Izzy got to know me, the dog. So she would kind of understand and she would he'd come in to talk to me and she would sit at the edge of the garage, almost like she was protecting us in the garage from anyone coming in there. And she would he would come in and he'd just talk about the most random stuff, but it was he had stories from traveling the world. He had, you know, his wife, Mary, I met her a few times and she was super cool. He would like brew his own or like these like artisan coffees in his apartment and he'd invite me over to drink them and like just the nicest person with the most incredible stories. And as an older man, he started doing where he was like walking the Appalachian Trail and like doing all these things, but he's going to have knee surgery and then going back out there and whatnot. And, you know, I'm not super close to him or anything. We have like some social media that we still, you know, kind of interact a little bit. But while I lived there though, you know, it was just one of those people that makes an impact on you in a way and just never disappoints with the type of stories or things that he's doing or the things that he's done. I don't even remember most of the stories like perfectly, but I remember there was like, yeah, we used to own some property in this country and we started a little farm and it's like, dude, what? Like people like you're a superhero, you know, there's like, that's that's a character out of a storybook, you know.
Mhm.
So when Nikki mentioned him, I'm like, oh, that's
Yeah,
him.
that's it.
That's who I need
Mhm.
to talk about, because
Mhm.
to me, he is one of the most interesting people that has had an impact on me. I think
Mhm.
there's
Mhm.
like, you know, whether it's famous people or authors that I idolize or whoever, not idolize, but like look,
Right. It was more
Yeah.
interesting that I met her than,
yeah,
you know, because I don't know her personally. But
right. Yeah. And so I just, to me, I think that's probably who stands out
yeah,
most.
that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was trying to think of
That is-
somebody that I knew in my real life that was just had like, you know, was really well traveled and
Yeah.
very, you know, that stood out. And I racked my brain for the last like 3 days in a
Yeah.
row, and I just could not come up with anybody. I was just like, this is too much. Like I had to just
Kind of
latch on to
let it
something and
go.
be
Yeah.
like, you know what, this is just gonna
Yep.
be it.
Mom, what do you think? What do you think it is that about a person, like whether it's Dr. Severa or what's her name?
Me?
Atwood.
Atwood.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
I was
Atwood
like,
or
are you talking about me?
or
You don't
Keith.
remember my name?
Yeah. You know, what do you think it is about a person that makes them stick in our memories as being interesting? Is there something specific that kind of creates that?
I don't know if it's specific, but maybe it has something to do with an I don't want to say I don't want to use the word fantasy, but an idealistic thought that you might have somewhere in your head where you think, okay, this old man, you know, is this idealistic kind of person that somehow, someday, I hope I'm like that. I
Oh,
Mhm.
can
that's
be,
interesting.
I mean, I think that with Margaret Atwood, you know,
Mhm.
it's like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
hey, Lauren, you love to write. You write, and you're a very good writer, and that would be something that maybe you would
Yeah.
feel
Oh,
like is
definitely.
idealistic to you
1,000%.
because yeah, for me the cat man, the cat daddy, it was like,
Yeah.
oh my
The
goodness.
cat
I mean,
daddy.
this is if I could be him, not him as in actually
Well,
him,
like
if I could
emulating
do something
people.
like
Yeah.
that, emulate something like him and be able to help people with cats, I would absolutely love that. You know, so
Mhm.
whether it's somebody famous or somebody that you just want to be like, someday I want my grandchildren or people in
Mhm.
my neighborhood to remember the old guy named Jeff that walked around with his cat, black cat on a leash, and you know, told me stories about his life and what he
Yeah.
did. And I would think it would be,
Mhm.
I think it's an idealistic thing where you kind of, it's a
Yeah.
dreamer kind of thing.
I
Yeah,
think you might be
that's what I
right
think.
on.
And I think you hit the nail on the head too when you said it seems like a character out of a book or
Yeah.
like a, you know,
Yeah.
so it is kind of like a ideal, you know, like
Mhm.
there's adventure in the
Mhm.
past or wherever,
Right.
whether it's in their imagination or that they've done it
Yeah.
in the past or
Right.
that they're undergoing
Right.
right now, like the cat daddy.
Right.
Yeah. But you're just drawn to that. You know, I
Yeah.
can't say that about Dr. Severa. I never wanted to be a
Right.
psychiatrist. I never wanted to own
No,
real
but
estate. I maybe live in a mansion. Yeah, but
I was gonna
whatever.
say, like
Wealth,
your
yeah.
own
You know,
business, getting your own business
but
off the ground and being successful.
exactly. And being successful coming out of a really, really bad situation as a
Mhm.
child
Right.
and to grow up to become something very successful.
With
I guess
mentally
that
ill
would be something
parents.
I would be
Mhm.
drawn to. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and to piggyback on all of that, you know, when you think about an interesting character,
Mm-hmm.
it's always somebody that is, for better or worse, out of the ordinary, you know,
Mhm.
day to day kind of thing, or somebody who has something extraordinary, you know, maybe under the surface.
Mhm.
And so just like when reading a book, you find or watching a
Mhm.
show or something, you
Mhm.
find people that or characters of some sort that you relate to in one way or another, or that,
Right.
like Mom was saying, that you aspire to,
Mhm.
or just kind of have something that draws you to them.
Right.
And on the other side, you know, when I talk about my friend Ryan, he's, you know, he's never been somebody who I go, I want to be like that,
Mhm.
but he's he's somebody who you go, you're never going to meet someone else like that.
I'm never going to forget that.
You're not going to forget
Right.
him,
Mhm.
you know, for better or worse.
Right.
You know, you're never
Right.
going to forget that
Yeah.
person. So that may be Dr. Severa's quirkiness, or Ryan, or so, you know, someone else, but that you're going, that's a person that you could write a story about.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
that's a
Yeah.
person that you
Right.
could see sitting in a role in that story.
Right.
You know, and
Right.
that is interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is
They
interessant.
are a character themselves.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what I was thinking earlier. I say, okay, how are we defining interesting here? You know, what is interesting? I know quirky, I know crazy, I know, you know,
Mhm.
whatever, but what is really interesting? What's drawing me to that person?
Mhm.
And usually
Mhm.
you're drawn to something that you can somehow relate to some way, whether you have that something in common with them,
Mhm.
or if you aspired to have something in common with them.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
maybe you don't, but maybe you wish you did.
Right.
Okay. Is that it for this one? Should we
Well,
move on?
I did want to say what the name of that documentary was.
Oh, you've looked it up.
I've looked it
Oh,
up.
yay.
You've looked it up.
I've looked it up, and
I'm
it's
gonna write it
Ren,
called.
you've
down.
looked it up.
I've looked it up.
I'm going to pick up my pen.
Yeah, just don't click it.
Okay.
It is on Hulu for show,
Hello.
and it is called Margaret Atwood. A word after a word after a word is power.
Okay.
It's great.
So check that one out.
Watch it.
All right. Family, anything else they want to talk about Taco Bell, about interesting people? Any shout outs? Any people who maybe almost made your list that you want to give a shout out to?
Well, when
I will. Can I go first?
Sure, yeah.
I almost went with who have become two of my very good friends, Dave Koenig and Andrew Milko.
I
When
kind of wondered if Dave might be
they
on
are
your short list.
Yeah, they are both what I would consider very interesting
Mm-hmm.
people who I have grown to really care about deeply. So that's
I've never met Milko, but I have definitely been in the room with Dave when he was tattooing in front of mine, and
yeah.
there's nothing funnier.
Yeah,
There really
he's
isn't.
great. Yeah.
He's funny, and he's got stories
He
for
does.
days.
He's got stories about me. So
I don't want to hear any of them because I've already heard them. I don't
ask
want to
him
hear.
about whistling.
No, I already know about your hole. Okay.
Stop whistling. I don't want to know.
Whistling in the dark.
Well, Mom,
Don't, Jeff.
if you listen to the episode, the
It's
documentary
been on
episode,
documentary.
the whole story's out there. So
Yeah. She blocked it out. I did too. Mm-hmm.
Blocking it out
All
of
right.
my head.
anyone else
So,
that you
Yeah.
I
Go
do.
ahead.
I have one. Now that you talk
is it
about
your
that.
husband?
Okay, so no.
I
He's
find him
interesting.
he's a
He's
character,
interesting.
that's for sure. Love
He used
him.
to be
Today
the
I-
storyteller.
Oh, he did.
Remember
He was
that?
the
he was
storyteller.
Mr. Story. He was the storyteller. Yes, he's
Mhm.
very interesting. But that's not who I had in mind. I had
Yeah.
my friend Cheryl from
Ah.
Iowa, who now
Yeah.
lives in Missouri, northern Missouri. And the
Really?
reason I want to shout out to her and they moved.
Aw. It's okay. They're not that
But
far away.
what's so interesting about her is she's such an inspiration and I find that very interesting because she's another person that very resilient and very just a wonderful person. But she at a very young age, and I can't tell you what age it was drove drunk and high on drugs and had a car accident and killed someone.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
And she served prison time for that.
Mhm.
And she came out of that and just completely turned her life around. And she's been just the most helpful, wonderful human being that I think one of the most wonderful human beings that I've ever met.
Mhm.
And she's so grateful to be alive. She was very hurt in the accident. She was injured very badly and can never have children as a result.
Mhm.
And but now she's married and she loves animals and has worked in a veterinary clinic for years and years. And since she's moved, is already in another new veterinary clinic. So they're very fortunate to have her. But she is a person that I find very interesting because of how she was able to come back from that and build a
How do
life.
you? Oh my
And
gosh.
well, I mean, she's paying restitution to this family that she killed the lady for. I don't know how long she has to pay it. Maybe I don't really know. I can't say, but I know she's been paying restitution ever since she's been imprisoned, and I've known her for over 10 years. So it's terrible. And when she came, when I first met her and I wanted her, I knew she was a wonderful person and I wanted her to be part of our cat trap, neuter, and return program. I asked her and she said, you need to know this about me. And she shared it. And I'm like, well, that's the past. She would probably be the one person I could trust if I didn't have you guys and my family. She would be the other person that I could trust enough to do just about anything for me, and I would do anything for her that I could. So anyway, she's very interesting, and I love her.
Yeah. Okay, Lauren, who made your almost interesting list?
It's not that they're not interesting. It's just that I went a different route.
Yeah.
I was talking about it today at work, and my friend Kim said, well, I'm interesting. So
She
shout
is.
out to Kim Whitehill. She is interesting.
Hey, Kimmers!
Hey, Kim!
Yeah. So she is one of my more interesting friends, which is why we get along so well. But she has a very eclectic taste in music, which is
Why you get along
great.
so well.
She can play the banjo.
Nice.
She is a queen of accents. And she can sing. She can sing, period. But she can sing Phantom of the Opera in a bathroom like you would not believe.
Wow.
I've got it on video if anybody wants to see it.
I do.
It's a duet.
I want to hear it.
I will let you know, or I will send it to you. But yes, she was one of the people on my list. And then my fiance is a super interesting character for sure.
He is.
Yes.
Your fiance. So my now brother-in-law, I've told you this story before, but he's like, oh, when he realized that your fiance was part of a rap group that he used to listen, that my brother-in-law used to listen to when he was a kid, he's like, oh yeah, I didn't realize that was him, but then I realized I hung out on the beach in Florida with Surreal MC. He's like, I had no idea. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it would be, well, maybe not, I don't know, but some people would be very surprised at how people geek out about that.
Yeah,
I mean,
bet.
they were prominent
They were
in their day. They still are.
They were everywhere. I know Noise Wave was everywhere.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I was really surprised that he was on the Queen Latifah show.
Oh,
That was really pretty cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting.
I know.
Omaha's best DJ of 2024, right?
2023.
That's right.
Oh, it was for last year.
2023 for last year.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, we want to know, our listeners, who do you think is the most interesting person that you've ever met? Whether it's a celebrity you ran into, or someone in your life, or someone that just came in and had an impact right away, or is the character in the book that you want to write good, bad, ugly, otherwise, however you want to phrase that. We'd love to hear from you. You can reach us on email at
My Mama Done Told Me podcast @gmail.com.
Yes, that. And we are on social media. All the good stuff will be in the showy notes.
Showy notes.
I need Mom to say
Showy
showy.
notes.
Thank you very much.
Come on, Mom.
She's over there making notes or something like that.
I'm making notes. I'm looking at my notes.
Notes. I'm
Making my
making some
showy
noise.
Taking notes.
All right. Well, we hope you keep your minds open and be kind to each other. And until next time, this has been My Mama Done Told Me, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye. Love ya.
Love you.
Love you.
Love you.
like a, what's the word? Like,
What was that?
what was that sound?
I didn't do anything here. Nothing.
Well, it was like
I haven't
Wow.
moved.
Wow,
No,
wow.
I didn't move. I did not move.
It's all on recording, so
maybe
we'll
it was
see.
the EVP.
Anything.
I'll
Was
be
it
able to
this?
see. I'll be able to see whose microphone that came from too. So
I
It
hope
wasn't
was me.
mine.
anyway,